Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Chris. On today's episode, I'll be talking about friendships and how important they are to maintain. Because I am not the best at I'm not always the best at maintaining my relationships personally. I have really amazing friends, but I've always been the kind of person who's a little slow to reply to messages. It used to be a couple of days and a missed message every here and there. And now, post everything that happened a few years ago in my life, I've gotten so bad at keeping in touch with people. Not so much new people, but the people I used to keep in touch with. And it's like I'm pushing away the people closest to me, the people who have always been there. I don't talk to them for months. I forget to reply to their messages, and it's so bad. And now, understandably, there are a couple of people who probably don't want to get back to me as quickly. And I kind of get that. It's not because they're necessarily punishing me. It's because they feel like I wasn't nice to them. So it took me 8 days to reply to a friend of mine with whom I hadn't spoken since December. So that's, a little while. And now she hasn't replied to me for a couple of days. And I get that. I understand. She's probably really busy. And it's not like I can complain. But that's the thing. I need to get better at replying to people. And I also need to get better at being the first person who messages. So that I'm actually the one who reaches out and goes like, hey, how are you doing? It's been a while. Do you want to get together? And, yeah, it's just difficult. And something that's especially difficult for me right now is that my friend messaged me and then I didn't message her back. And when I finally did reply to her, well, a couple days after that, I then figure out that I actually need their help. And now I feel like a bit of a bad guy, because I finally replied to them, and it was before I realized that I had something I needed from them. But to them, it might appear as if I only got back to them because I needed them, and that's just not fair. I have to get better. I want to get better. I feel like my interpersonal relationships have really been falling apart ever since, first the divorce and then the friendship. So I've mentioned before that I got divorced and then I moved in with a friend. But I don't believe that I've mentioned that friend had bipolar disorder. Now, to anyone out there with bipolar disorder, I am, open. I really am. And I think that it's not her fault. I don't blame her, but I do see how her disorder played a role in what happened. And it's her responsibility to do something about that. Because she can act out, but if she comes to me afterwards, it's gonna be okay, we can fix it. The problem is that she didn't. She blamed me for everything, and we only lived together for about 6 months. Until she went absolutely crazy on me. Started talking about how I wanted to kill her parrot. And how she was afraid to leave me alone in their house. And how she needed to lock her door. I have never entered her room without her permission. I wouldn't even want to enter her room because frankly, it was disgusting. There was bird poop everywhere, leftover rotten food, and we even found sanitary pads used sanitary pads in there when she left, because she left most of her furniture. She just split. And that might have been my fault, because, well, she all of a sudden announced to me that she wouldn't be helping me with the rent, even though we had agreed originally. When she told me that she was going to move out, I said, okay, I'm very sad to hear that. Will you still be helping with the rent for the 3 months binding period? And she said yes, and we agreed that we'd just kind of try not to see each other. We'd, I'd stay with my parents for a bit, she'd stay with her grandma for a bit, and we'd work things out. Well, one day I wake up and they're making a bunch of noise in the living room, and that's her moving her stuff out. And I go down there quietly and tell them good morning and all of that, and she just ignores me, doesn't want to talk to me at all. And I try to ask her, is something the matter? And she tells me, you know what's the matter. I had to honestly admit to her that no, I'm not quite sure what's going on right now, so if she wants me to understand, she needs to fill me in. And then she just started yelling and screaming at me about how I'd done this and I'd done that, and it was like, most of those things I haven't done. Some of them I have done, but some of those that I have done, you've twisted. And I just tried talking to her calmly. I'm really good at remaining calm in such a situation. But eventually, I do lose it a little bit. And I'm not a perfect human being by any measure. I'm flawed as all hell. And I actually understand that she'd want to move out with me. I wasn't the greatest roommate. I had the audacity to ask her to, clean up after herself in the living room, shared space. I dared to confront her with the fact that her blue hair dye had colored the floor in the bathroom, by telling her, well, I asked her if that's removable, because I wasn't sure. I've never really dyed my hair. And so she went crazy over a lot of things. And she had, I don't really shave often. So, yeah. Anyway, she had shaved her hair and she had done it in the sink, which is fine. That's up to her. The sink was then subsequently clogged, and I told her that since she'd shaved her head and, it was her hair, I felt like she was the one who needed to clean it up too. Apparently one day while I was gone, she did clean it. And I don't know what went on in her head, but I suppose she has been rummaging through the hairs in the clock, because she was like, your hair was in there too. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of does make sense, but it wasn't clogged by my hair. It's a minor difference, I suppose, but are we really fighting over this? It's just not that big a deal to me personally. I was just requesting that you clean up after yourself. And it was those kinds of things. She never emptied anything, like the trash, the dishwasher. She never did anything. She stole my spoons. She was like, no, I don't have your spoons. And I was like, well, I mean, they're disappearing after you moved in. Do you think maybe they're somewhere in your room and you just forgot about them? No, absolutely not. Then when she did move out, I actually found 2 of my spoons, as well as a fork and a knife. And a glass. Oh yeah, I had the large glasses. I found 1 of them, and then I think I found 2 of my small blue glasses. Like, I found a lot of my stuff, but strangely no plates. All the plates were still, in the kitchen. Anyway, so the reason that I was about to tell you that it was kind of my fault that she left all of her stuff was that I kind of lost it. I told her to leave my goddamn house. I told her that she needed to go outside until I figured out what to do here. And she didn't want to respect that, but I insisted, And I told her, this is not a negotiation. You either leave my house or I call the police. And the reason I said that was that she was not on the lease. And that's also why she could run from the rent. That was a huge mistake. If you ever move in with someone, remember to sign them onto the lease. It's very important. That way they can't F you over. Well, she did, and I called a couple of friends. They came by. And then we kind of let her into the house again. She then promptly tried to steal a piece of my furniture. She took it, she walked it out into the trailer. I then walked out, grabbed it in the trailer, put it in my house, and told her, very angrily, I lost my temper, I really did, that I would not stand for her stealing my stuff. That I have had enough of her erratic, insane behavior, and that she deserved all evils that come to her. I did say some, I want to say slightly, but definitely not slightly. I did say some much worse things. Just understand that the essence of it made me feel like a really bad person. Because those things should not be repeated here, nor should they be repeated anywhere else. And she, no matter how much insanity she had shown towards me, no matter what she'd done, I should not have behaved that way. However, by the end of that, I told her that she has one goddamn hour, and then I want her out of my life forever. And I think that's why she ended up leaving her stuff. Because the hour was probably up. They stayed for a while longer and then they left. So I do not remember what my point about this was. So I'll just create my own point and maybe it'll match with the original. The new point, at least, is that I lost not just a wife, but a really close friend. I lost a life partner and one of my best friends. And I started questioning myself a lot. I really did, because while my ex broke up with me in a pretty nice way, all things considered, I mean, the method wasn't nice, but the whole process was. It was very mutual. I helped her pack her things. We went for a walk. We, did things and even ate dinner together after she'd grabbed her stuff. So we left on good terms, her and I. Still, though, it kind of made me question losing two people close to me in such a short span of time. Am I the problem? And I know that I have my own challenges. Some of them come from the ADHD, some of them come from other things, but there's no doubt that I have challenges. There's no doubt that I'm not easy to be around all the time. But I had a really hard time, gauging it, I don't remember the word, especially because they were close to me. They were really close to me. I lived with these two people and they couldn't stand me. But when I talk to people about it, when I tell them that, even when I tell them my flaws, I try to express to them, for example, that I'm not always the best at emptying the trash. I tend to fit a little more than they're supposed to be there, but it's not like I stack it high. It's just I fit 5% more trash than there's room for in the trash bag. I'm that kind of person. And I do have a tendency to, rather than put things directly in the dishwasher, I'll stack them on top of the dishwasher. But I won't just leave them around the house. I'll actually, I'll stack them. They'll be in a neat pile. And so when I tell people about those kinds of flaws and other things that I do, because I do a lot of things, and there are a lot of things I also don't do. It's like, that doesn't sound too bad to them. Some of them are like, well, they probably wouldn't be able to live with me, but they wouldn't stop being friends with me if we lived together and they found out that I was like this and I did these things. I'm not really the kind of person to hide the bad things that I do, because I feel like I'm not proud of them, but I don't feel ashamed of them either. It's kind of, well, healthy shame, right? I feel ashamed, yes, but I don't shame myself for doing it. I actually think I just remembered my original point, but I could be wrong. Friends are important. They are important to take care of, and you need to put in an effort. For the past year, I haven't. I've been especially bad at putting in an effort, and I blame the difficulties that I've faced. But that does not give me the right to not treat people with love and care and respect, because they deserve it. My best friends should not have to wait weeks, if not months, for me to reply to them. They should not have to always be the one to get in touch with me. They need to feel that I really do love them, because otherwise I'll just push away the last people that are still close to me. And for what? To punish myself for something that may or may not have been my responsibility? I shouldn't do that. Neither should you if you do it. So if you listen to this and you have a similar feeling, pick up your phone, send that text message. I'm being serious here. Just message them. There's probably a person in your life who deserves that right now. And that is, on that note, it'll be all for me. As always, I gotta remember the YouTube stuff, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye now.